Well, hello. I'm here with Doug to talk about the breakup and other things. And it's Friday, June 6th, 2025. And I imagine everybody on Earth is aware of the fact that finally Elon Musk and Donald Trump have broken up. And about 4 days ago, they did what professionals should do. They had a nice little ceremony where Trump said, gee, thanks, Elon, for helping me out. And you're a great guy. And here's a golden key to the White House. And how about you just wander off and do something else and everything will be all dignified and nice? And it was all fine. But Elon couldn't keep it together. Within 24 hours, he started giving interviews, insulting Trump, and posting on Twitter that everyone should cancel the great big bill. And within a couple of days, Trump is threatening to cancel all of Musk's contracts. And Steve Bannon says you should deport him. And Musk is saying Trump is a pedophile. And it's just turned into like the world's worst breakup with people throwing mud and insults at each other. And now Elon Musk has figured out after he lost an incredible amount of money, like $20 billion in stock value, he's come crawling back to Trump this morning saying, we'll have a nice phone call on Friday and make up. And Trump said, I don't want to talk to this guy. He's crazy. I don't have nothing to do with this guy. And Elon Musk, I think, has accomplished something really awesome. He's made Trump seem like a disciplined leader. Trump is kind of say, because Elon is basically just a crazed drug addict having a fit.
Yeah.
And what's incredible to me is both of them need adults in the room. Trump had Susie Wild, was supposed to be like his chief of staff, like sort of stopping him from doing stupid things, but she was unable to do it right from the start. And Musk doesn't even have anybody that pretends to be that role in his life. He really needs somebody. He needs like a trusted, I mean, he needs like a wife or a father or a lawyer he trusts or an MBA in his life who can give him like counsel about how not to screw up your company. And he has nobody, no guardrails of any kind. It's a shame. I see this a lot in information security. A lot of people get smart, like they hack something, then they decide to start a consulting business, and it all goes to hell because there was one guy. And I found out, like everybody else does, your one guy who is technically clever is not the same as having an MBA type who can like talk to the clients and make good relationships and work out the money and show up for all the boring meetings and everything. You need two people, you need a business type and a tech type.
Well, it's interesting that's Steve Jobs and Wozniak,
I didn't know
right?
Steve Jobs was the business type, right? He wasn't really
Right.
technical. Yeah. He was
Yeah,
marketing and
and
business. Yeah.
if you look, they were trying to sell computers,
Yeah.
right? Is kind of like high school kids, college kids. They got a pretty good sized order. And Steve Jobs goes from blue jeans and torn shirt, whatever, to suit and tie.
That's what you do if you're the business guy. That's what they want to see. I remember
And
I'm yeah.
yeah, and I think similar story with Cisco to a degree, but the techies at Cisco got pushed out by the business types.
That's the problem. Neither of them can take over. They need to understand it's a
Yeah,
partnership. You need these tech guys and you need business guys, and you can't make the tech guys act like business people, like show up on time and wear a suit. And you can't make the business people do the tech side. We've both seen that where companies
right,
have a bunch of MBAs that try to pretend they know the technical stuff, and the result is a disaster.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah. It
it's
it it is interesting. Microsoft, I think, might be one of the exceptions
yeah.
because you had Bill Gates, who is talented as a programmer.
He actually had very small accomplishments as a programmer. He made a Visual Basic Interpreter in the early days. Like most executives, he once did something technical long ago.
Right. But he had Paul Allen with him, and I'm not sure when Ballmer joined, but Ballmer would have been the Steve Jobs of Microsoft.
Yeah, Ballmer just seemed like a marketing salesman.
Oh, that's all he was.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, they have a powerful technical team too, of course. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what you need.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
anyway, so that's the big news for the whole world right now. We're going to see how it goes. I'm hoping it will destroy both of them. And it looks like that's likely to happen. Because, oh, the other thing Elon Musk said is he wants to start a third party. And No Labels has already jumped on that and said, oh, that would be great. I remember No Labels was the third party that was going to run in the last election and the one before it, consisting of with like Chris Christie and other people who've been sort of outcast from various parties. And I think, Steve, the guy from West Virginia, the senator from West Virginia that made such trouble for the Democrats, Manchin was thinking of jumping into No Labels.
Hmm.
So if they do that, that might destroy the Republican Party entirely, just like that the guy that ran ADP did a few decades ago. A third party that shucks mostly from Republicans could drag him down.
Oh, Ross Perot?
Ross Perot. Ross
Yeah.
Perot actually got like 20% of the vote or something. And so that's what it might be. It might, making a third party in the middle might in fact be the split that breaks the Republicans. So, I mean, hopefully Trump and Elon will destroy themselves, destroy each other in this battle. I think that would be the best for the country.
We will see. This is history in the making.
It is, and I've heard people recommend this, and it appears to be true. The Democrats have learned from Napoleon: never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. The Democrats are just eating popcorn and watching, which is the right move. Don't even get involved. You guys fight this out. I'll just watch passively.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the same with during World War II towards the end?
Oh yeah, and you know the one thing I hope they resist the temptation of taking
Yeah,
Elon back and saying, oh, if Elon offers to be a Democrat again, I hope they'll keep him at arm's length and not trust him, because he clearly has shown that he has no principles whatever and doesn't even know what he's doing, and in fact appears to just be a crazed drug addict. So whatever, I mean, maybe you want to accept some of his money, but you certainly don't want to trust him.
true. So, Sam, I think I saw that Elon claims to have Trump's sex tapes with from Epstein. We don't
Well,
know that any of that's
no,
true.
he already posted a video that everybody knew about 20 years ago.
Oh, I
A
see.
much younger Trump going to a party with Epstein saying this guy is great and everything. I mean, there's a bunch of that out there. Basically, everybody who was anybody in New York City got to the Epstein parties. But Trump was one of his best friend. He met his wife on the Epstein Lolita Express. He already expressed support and praise for Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in prison. Said, "Gee, I wish
Right.
her well." I mean, he was really buddies with them, and this is not a secret.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean like you don't know that your next door neighbor a lot of times is an axe murderer or serial killer.
Yeah, but the Access Hollywood tapes came out, and then
Yeah,
like 29 women accused him of rape, and he lost and was convicted of rape with E.J.
yeah,
Carroll. So I don't think a further sexual scandal will really hurt him at all. Besides, he's probably not going to run for election again. Doesn't even matter at this point, unless you
yeah.
think you could actually prosecute him. That would be interesting. But
No, I think if I'm not mistaken, statute of limitations has expired.
I imagine, I mean,
Yeah,
that's why I really don't think Elon has got anything that would hurt him. And
yeah,
Trump is not acting scared.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah.
what's funny is when Elon brings it out, they say, well, then you knew all this before and you stuck with him. So
Right.
what's this high moral ground you're taking now? It really, Elon just seems to have destroyed everything through just sort of lack of emotional control, just like a drug addict, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Or
anyway,
or or a dictator.
well, Trump is a dictator, but like I say, Elon has managed to make Trump look like the wise, mature leader here.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
what's hilarious is Kanye West has come up and said, gee, why don't you, just hate to see you guys fight. Why don't you make up? Kanye West is the adult in the room, for the love of God. I mean,
All right, Sam, let's move on. What's
yeah.
next story here?
Well, so 19 companies have now pulled back their support for Pride, big companies. So obviously they never really cared about it. They're just doing when they blow them at the wind. So that's not too surprising. I was
Yeah.
surprised by this one, though. Long COVID is now the most common chronic health problem in children, exceeding asthma. Something like 10 to 20% of children that have had COVID now have long COVID. So this is interesting because I remember the DHS under RFK Jr. has said they're no longer going to provide or recommend a vaccine for children. They're pretending children are not affected by COVID, and apparently that is not true.
Hmm.
So maybe the government was correct to like close down the schools and stuff. There was a huge argument about that, saying, it doesn't really hurt the kids anyway. It'd be better to make them go to school and not worry about them getting COVID. Anyway, I think nobody really knows what the right call was there, exactly how harmful this stuff is for children. They still don't really know.
Yeah, well, there's a YouTube celebrity. I keep bringing her up, Diana, the physics girl. Do you know who she is?
No, but I remember
Uh,
you talked about her. She's a long COVID sufferer.
she's long COVID sufferer.
Yeah.
2.5 years
Oh,
she's
yeah.
been bedridden,
Yeah.
and she's finally kind of getting up. She's walking around. She posted a video maybe about 3 weeks ago and kind of updated, but she's still not YouTube material, if you know what I mean. I
Yeah.
mean,
And YouTube is not that demanding. So, I mean, that's pretty serious disability.
yeah, but she has I don't know exactly, but probably hundreds of videos out there. She made some specials with PBS. She was with
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye.
Yeah.
She was somebody, I
Yeah.
will say. And it's just incredible that she got married and then shortly after she got COVID and
Yeah.
she's been bedridden for 2 years, two
Yeah.
and a half years.
I mean, it can be real serious for some people. That's why you really shouldn't be casually letting everybody get it.
Yeah, exactly. And I keep hearing stories from people saying, "Oh, it's not a real thing."
Well, yeah, it's a real thing. Now, it is unfortunately a very
Yeah,
complicated and baffling disease. It doesn't affect people equally. You can't really treat the vaccine is not as effective as we wish it would be. So, I mean, there are a lot of complexities,
right,
but it's a
right.
real thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so I was pleased to observe that, several of the law firms just knuckled under to Trump immediately and agreed to,
right.
and other law firms fought Trump. And the people, as you might expect, that are clients of the first group of firms are leaving and going to the second group of firms. Because when someone comes to you with an outrageous demand and you don't fight them, what kind of lawyer are you?
Yeah, 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 true.
Although but people say, maybe that's wrong because one thing lawyers do is settle cases all the time, saying, oh, this is just too much bother. But anyway, it's interesting to see. The question is, do you want a fighter or do you want an appeaser?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so the Prime Minister of Canada came out and gave a fiery speech and said that the old relationship with America is over and we can't trust them anymore, which is all true. Uh,
Well, Sam, America, this issue with all the tariffs
yeah,
is caused a real boom in Canada, especially when it comes to growing vegetables.
they're buying homegrown instead of importing from the U.S., right?
Well, what's happened is it's difficult to homegrown, but there's a company, and I don't recall the name of it, that's growing hydroponically, and it's all completely automated for the most part.
Yeah,
They've spent millions, maybe $10 million to automate the growing of lettuce, for example, that would come from Salinas or California. And the lettuce that they would get wouldn't be the greatest, and it was expensive. And it's still expensive, but at least it's fresh now.
yeah. Well, this is also like all of our tech embargoes against China. Our isolationist policies often do not achieve the desired goal. They just make
Yeah.
our enemies more independent.
Right, right, right. Because
Yeah,
if you can't buy it and there's a demand for it,
yeah,
somebody's going to produce it.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
I,
So interesting on that front.
yeah, yeah. Well, and the last one I think I'll mention in politics is pretty incredible, although
Okay.
you remember Duterte in the Philippines? He was tired of the drug dealers, so he just authorized murder. Said, if you get any drug dealers, just kill them, and we won't charge you. Everybody can just start killing their neighbor. Trump wants to do that with ICE now. The ICE people have been told, you got to get your quotas up. So start just grabbing any immigrants you can find anywhere without warrants or anything. Um, ones that are showing up for their hearings, ones that are illegal, we don't give a damn. Just grab anybody, which is totally what they're doing. And the other thing that's happening a lot is they're showing up with masks and covering their badges, and they won't tell you who they are. They're just grabbing people like gangsters off the street and shipping them away. And the people in charge of it have said, well, we've discovered that when our agents get doxxed, people harass them and go, protest in front of their homes and stuff. So we refuse to tell anybody who we are, which is pretty horrible stuff. And then you don't get any due process. So they could just grab anybody like you or me and send us off to a concentration camp, and we never get a chance to claim we're citizens or anything. And nobody would even know who took us. Even lawyers that ask, they won't tell you what agency took them or where they are or anything. So this is far down the fascist playbook.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
bunch of
yeah,
jackbooted thugs just come in the middle of the night and disappear people. And it's all
yes.
because what they want is to scare people. They want to intimidate people. They want you afraid of the government. This is the glorious Republican small government world we're living in. So anyway, uh, then I got some high tech. This one,
Oh, wait, but before
yeah,
you get
yeah,
on high tech, let me share this one with you.
yeah,
Pretty interesting. There's a lawyer channel or a lawyer that's got a channel on YouTube called Legal Eagle.
yeah,
And this is pretty interesting. It's all about Project 2025 and the success ratio. And I believe that Project 2025 is claiming 25-30% success in what their demands are, with
yeah.
another 20% well on the way of being successful.
Well, far ahead of what they expected. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, far ahead of what they've expected. And we'll see where this is going to wind up. But it's depending on what your political religious point of view is, it's either highly successful or kind of uncomfortable.
Well, this reminds me of two other things. One thing that the
Yeah,
Musk and Trump battle showed is that they're both, Trump is not even concealing his corruption in the slightest. He said, well, I'll just cancel all your contracts to punish you for daring to criticize me. So the
right.
idea that we have any process or law or reason, we're just a dictator, where if the king is mad at you, he just takes action against you and there's no laws or anything in the way.
And isn't that what we've seen with all the executive orders?
It is, and they're all illegal. And by the way, also,
Yeah.
he's now getting absolute direct contradiction of at least three major court orders. He's totally ignoring them and just breaking them, mostly about immigration. They were supposed to bring back that guy that they admitted they accidentally deported to El
Yeah.
Salvador. They just have completely ignored that Supreme Court order, and they're not doing it. And there are two more orders like that. There's another one where he said, absolutely, do not move this person. And they just moved him and took him away and locked him up. They're in total violation of the orders and daring the courts to do anything about it. So
Yeah. And
we
so
are, yeah, we
here
don't
we
have
have a
three branches of government anymore. We have a dictator that does whatever he wants and nobody stops him, at least at the moment.
well, it can be challenged, but even the challenges,
They've challenged it and won in court, and he just
right?
the court order. So now
Yeah.
where are you? We are now there. Whatever you want to
Yeah.
call that, we're now there.
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like a month ago, they said, gee, if that happened, that would be a constitutional crisis. Well, it's happened. That's where we are. He's just doing illegal things, ignoring all the guardrails and daring anybody to do anything about it, which has been Elon Musk's modus operandi for his whole life.
Yeah. And the question is, who enforces the Constitution?
Well, it's supposed to be the president, but he doesn't know that. They asked him in an interview, are you going to follow the Constitution? And right after he's sworn to uphold the Constitution, he said, well, I don't know. I'll ask my lawyers whether I have to do that. I'm not sure I have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then it's supposed to be Congress, but they don't do anything except just kowtow to whatever Trump wants. So it's, there are guardrails, but they've just all laid down before him.
The Constitution is only as powerful as the people who enforce it.
Well, and that's ultimately the people, and that's why we got to get out and protest. The people really run this place. And I'm counting on the American populace to eventually get mad. And it's looking like they have. There was recently an interim election where in an area that Trump lost by 1 point, the Democrat won by like 40 points.
I see.
So I
I
think
see.
the people are getting mad at this. You
Yeah.
know, this is the people are like in America, it's so nice. Everybody's like playing video games and going to parties and having a good time and ignoring politics. But when you finally get them mad, they get good and mad.
Yeah. Yeah. We've reached that breaking point.
I hope so. And it looks
So,
like the people are ready to kick these bums out.
yeah, and Sam, are the protests still happening?
Yes.
Yeah,
There's a big one coming up on June 14th, going to be another really big one. They've been preparing for a month. So a really large portion of America will probably come out. The last one was, I think, between 2 and 3% of the entire population came out. The one about a month ago. And this one will be even bigger. No kings, which I think is the right theme. Absolutely. We appear
and
to have,
so
yeah, yeah.
yeah, are the protests at Tesla dealerships over?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I've been sick for a couple of weeks and traveling, but I think we'll continue. I'm going to recommend continuing because Musk is still appalling, and he's still closely tied to the government. I mean, just we'll see what
true.
happens. But
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
By the way, Musk wants to start a third party, probably run for president. I don't think any of these people care about the Constitution. I think Musk is a similar threat to Trump. As a matter of fact, he might be the number two guy in politics after Trump on the Republican side. I mean, J.D. Vance seems to be a zero. I can't believe anybody's going to support him. And by the way, John Trump's children are pretty much in the tech bro crypto thing, and so is J.D. Vance. They're probably more aligned to Musk than Trump. That's why
Oh, that's
this
interesting.
could really fracture his party and his cabinet and everything. Musk is pretty much a hero to all the tech bro guys.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot of people are with Trump for that reason, because the crypto bro, tech bro guys felt like he was their guy. But that was mostly because of his partnership with Musk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway,
All right. What else you got? Let's move on.
I got some tech, which is you'll tell me if this story reminds you of anything. So these companies had an AI that would write code for you, and it was amazing. And Microsoft invested in it and pushed it. And then it turned out that there was no AI. It was 700 Indian engineers writing the code, pretending to be AI. Boy, we've heard this so many times. Like the one they tilted the camera to pretend they have a self-driving truck. Just another fake one.
Sam, do you remember this goes back, gosh, 200 years,
Yeah,
the automatron, the Turk
yeah.
chess
Mechanical
player,
Turk. Yeah,
the mechanical
yeah,
Turk.
yeah. The
Yes.
the chess playing robot that was
Yes.
just this guy controlling, wearing a robot suit or something. Yeah,
Well, there was somebody right in the chess table
yeah,
underneath who was a
yeah,
master chess player who
yeah,
could see the moves up above by a magnet.
yeah. That's right. This scam never ends. So
But
yeah,
that, as I remember, that that deception, can we call it that,
yeah.
lasted 20, 30, 40 years.
Oh yeah, they can go on for a long time. That's why you, yeah, you got these fraudsters can go on for quite a while until they get caught. Um,
I don't know that that was ever caught or revealed.
well, anyway, here's
Yeah.
another
All
tech
right,
story
another
for you.
one.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one. So I didn't know this. The Prime Minister of Canada has a special telephone to call the President of the United States. Like, we had a red telephone on Nixon's desk. So that was called the gold telephone. In the 60s, they set up the special gold telephone. Well, it turned out that there was a security problem with the gold telephone. And this is a pretty amazing security problem.
Wait, wait,
Yeah,
Sam. I thought you were going to say that nobody has paid the bill since the 1960s.
That's not it. But
Okay.
no, this is better. What happened is the handsets were equipped with an impaired speech amplifier that helped to boost the volume and clarity of the caller's voice. But the impaired speech amplifier was always on. So even when you hung up the phone, it was sending audio signals down the wire for like years before anybody noticed. So we put a bug in the prime minister's room that was sending the stuff off unauthorized. So that's pretty incredible.
Wait. To the US?
Well, down the wire, unencrypted in a detectable way, who knows who could pick it up?
Okay.
So they accidentally bugged their own room. That's pretty extreme.
All right. It's an
And here's
interesting
another,
story.
there's new Android malware called Crocodilius, which is pretty smart. You get, like everybody, if you get a phone call and it's not in your contacts list, nobody answers anymore, right?
Right.
The malware adds an entry to your contact list that says something like, Microsoft tech support or something. Then they call you. Then it pops up with that name. It's
Wait,
pretty
how do
clever.
they add to your contact
Well,
list?
they trick you into putting the malware on somehow.
Oh, I
Probably,
see. I
probably a
see.
malicious entry in a malicious app or something.
Okay. Okay.
Just
Got it.
like there's
Got it.
DNS changers, that this is a pretty good. It not changes your contact list, right? And
That's a good one.
yeah, it is. And so, and similarly in the world of AI, so I mentioned Wiles. Susie Wiles is Trump's chief of staff. Well, people have been getting phone calls and text messages from Susie Wiles asking them to send confidential data to her. And eventually it started asking them to wire money. And then they said, wait a minute, this must be fake. And she said, well, her personal phone got hacked and somebody stole her contact list. So now they have the direct phone number of all these important officials, and they're using AI generated imitations of her voice to call them and get data out of them. So this shows, both the problem with AI voice impersonation and also the persistent problem of people that use unofficial devices for official government business, which people really should not be doing.
Okay.
I mean, the Trump team switched about a year ago to a super secure Android device for exactly this reason. But then people use their personal devices. It's like, goddamn, that's like using Signal Chat. I mean, dude, there is a military thing available and you just don't use it. So, Australia has passed a law. So if you pay for ransomware, you now have to tell the government that you paid and how much you paid. There's no similar law anywhere else. I know they were trying to push about 2 years ago in America, they were trying to push one that would forbid you from paying the ransom, and that went nowhere. But
Okay.
but at least now you have to tell the government if you pay up. That would seem like a step in the right direction to have some control over this. I mean, clearly we have to somehow stop the money from getting to them someday. That's the only way this is ever going to stop.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Right.
but anyway, and here's one I'm not quite sure what to make of. It turns out Apple has end-to-end encrypted chat and end-to-end encrypted text messages. So if the government wants them, they can say no. But it turns out that the push notifications that causes things to pop up on your phone, those are often not encrypted. And they've been handing those over to the government upon request. So those apparently often contain useful information. Like my phone's always popping up, hey, a new email has come in. Hey, a new SMS has come in. Now, I don't know how those are implemented, but some of those are probably push notifications. And those they're handing over. So that's interesting.
Hmm.
And
But that's got to be metadata, right?
apparently some of them have plain text contents. Some of
Ah,
them don't. And you see how you design it. I mean, the best thing would be to just send a signal. I mean, the logical thing would be your app would just say, when a mail comes up, your app will then pop up that box. But apparently some of them are sending, a request over the wire, which
yeah. Yeah.
includes a plain text content. So it varies what you're going to find in there.
Yeah. Got
So,
it.
so
Got
that's an
it.
issue. Yep. And
Okay.
here's another thing that surprised me. They're trying to phase out gas home appliances in Los Angeles. And they say that water heaters and furnaces powered by natural gas emit more smog than the region's largest industrial polluters. It's actually a serious cause of smog, which I wouldn't have guessed. I thought cars were pretty much the most of it right there.
Yeah. So same thing is going on in the Bay Area. And supposedly the California Air Resources Board has eliminated the sale of gas water heaters, I think, in the next year or two, and gas heaters by the end of 2029, if I recall.
I remember during the election, the Republicans made a big deal about how the Democrats are going to take away your gas stove. Apparently, gas stoves are a really bad idea, not only for the air pollution, but actually the internal air pollution of your home causes people to get like cancer and stuff. Which
Yeah,
makes sense,
I'm,
really. Having this flame in your house all the time probably is not safe. I never thought about it, but when they pointed it out, that sounded kind of logical.
yeah, I mean, you are burning things when you're cooking them.
I would think it would be bad for you, sort of like smoking, logically.
Yeah, but I kind of wonder about that. I wonder about the research on that, and
Yeah.
I'd really like to see that.
Yeah, and I remember Kamala Harris said, "Look, we are not going to ban gas stoves anytime soon." Uh,
Yeah, so Berkeley for a while banned gas stoves. This is kind of interesting. This was, I believe, prior to COVID. that Berkeley was able to get a law, new home construction and remodel, no gas appliances, period.
Yeah.
And so if you're remodeling a home, that could be quite an issue because most of these homes don't have the electrical systems for a or for an electric water heater
Oh,
or for electric water heater, electric dryer, or electric stove. They just weren't because it was gas here. It was
okay.
gas in California.
Well, I know
So
apparently that's what they're doing in LA. They're not taking out the old ones, but they're saying new ones have to not have gas water heaters or gas furnaces.
yeah, so here's the tricky part with that is a lot of these homes where the water heater would go, there's no electrical outlet there. There's no wiring.
So you're going to have
It's
to pay for them to lay more lines.
a lot of money, a
Well,
whole lot of
right now, a
money.
lot of people have to pay to get the charger for their electric vehicle. It's a similar issue, right?
Yeah, similar issue, but it's a lot less current. But think about it. Some of these older homes that were built in the Bay Area in in California in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe even into the 70s, had small electrical requirements.
Right.
And so if all of a sudden you have these high demand, which be electric water heater, electric stove, EV charger, right? This
Yep.
puts that doubles to triples the demand on electricity.
Yeah, and apparently it is true that the AI data centers are demanding a lot of electricity. And I've seen articles claiming that there's a town in Texas that is sort of being polluted like crazy because Elon Musk built his Grok AI processor there and he had to put in a whole bunch of like dirty power plants to power it.
Hmm, that's
So, I
interesting.
mean, and they're
Yeah.
talking about companies building their own nuclear plant just to feed their own AI data center because it needs so much power.
Yeah. Well, we talked a few months back that Microsoft has got a deal going to with Three Mile Island to open up one of the reactors that was never completed.
Yeah, and they say within the next few years we need to double or triple the entire U.S. electricity output.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge demand if we're switching from gas to electric heaters.
And not only creating all that electricity, but distributing it, laying all the miles of
Yeah.
wires and stuff. A big investment, sort of like building the interstate highway system.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this, but in San Francisco as well as LA, they can't put in new high voltage lines to service parts of the city. And I know at UCSF, there was no capability to provide more electricity to the hospital. So they have their own power generating station. And
Well,
LA has
why can't they put up more poles and wires? There's some limit.
yeah, they can't do it because these are the high voltage lines.
So they have to be
The,
on
the
those tall towers.
Yeah, like the metal towers if you've been in the Bay Area.
So you'd have to buy a whole bunch of land. It would really be super expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, and in LA, this is kind of interesting. They have one area, I don't recall what part of the city, but they've got underground power lines that are cooled by actively pumping oil around the cables to cool them.
Yeah, I'm surprised you'd use oil, but yeah, anyway, but
Yeah, well,
cooling,
they need some coolant,
that's
and
actually
that's the
pretty extreme. They must be wasting a lot of power then with that resistance loss.
yeah, but how else are you going to get the electricity there?
Yeah, underground cables. I know they're talking about undergrounding all the cables in California now at an incredible cost. That's why PG&E rates are going to go up because
But
they have so much liability from the fires.
right, that's a different issue.
Yeah,
These are underground because you can't put in high
right.
voltage lines. Whereas the undergrounding of the cables, I get that, but boy, is that expensive.
It is. So this is a tough thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. All right, what else you got
I
for us?
got just one more little one. So X, what used formerly Twitter, is
Yeah.
now going to have encrypted chat to make it more secure, called XChat, and they claim it's end-to-end encrypted, and the people that have looked into it say that is not true at all. They say it doesn't have forward secrecy, so each message uses the same encryption key, and they say it has an easily brute-forced four-digit PIN, and it gives Twitter, the servers have enough information to decrypt the messages. So they claim the encryption is not at all equal to like Signal's end-to-end encryption.
So, Sam, what you're telling me is they have encryption, so Twitter is correct, but it's useless
Well, you know what
or
what
next to
what
useless.
Elon said is it has Bitcoin style encryption. And all the cryptography people said, Bitcoin doesn't have any encryption. It's got some hashing. What is this shit? And they looked into what it's doing. And just like almost every project that says they have encryption, they've sort of taken five encryption products and thrown them at the wall like a toddler playing with finger paint without understanding what the hell they're doing.
Got it.
That's why I'm teaching cryptography. I said, cryptography is usually deployed stupidly and wrong. You can learn how to deploy it correctly. It's not that difficult, but you actually have to understand the types of encryption and what parameters are and where to put them. And a lot of people just throw together some junk with some encryption in it, poorly applied, that doesn't actually get the job done.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
But at least you can claim it's in there.
it does have some encryption,
New,
which is
it's
better. Remember when
new.
Twitter started at the Arab Spring, nothing was encrypted at all. And the cops could just sniff it and arrest people and stuff. Then they had this product that became popular as an alternative to Twitter that turned out to have pretty bad encryption, but it was better. And
But
you don't
it's
need to
new
trust
and
it.
improved.
Well, it was improved. It was better than what was there before. But
True.
but the fact is, you could actually have good, strong encryption these days if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's it then.
All
Uh,
right. That's it for me. See you on Tuesday.
that sounds good.